Hey guys, I hope y'all can see this. It is August 25th, 2019. It's about 10:30 p.m. where I am in Baton Rouge. Guess I'll wait a second till some people show up in chat. I really I don't know, I really want to do a video. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and I wanted to go through Dana Ashley's last video where she interviewed, and the scientist didn't give his name, but he talks about nanofibers that are actually, we're breathing in like these component parts, and then our phlegm, when we're producing phlegm, we actually swallow these nanoparticulates or nanofibers, which people call morgellons. I'm kind of just going to say the words. She doesn't in her video. Oh, I hope that people can actually get into the live stream. I had problems last time, and I don't know if people are going to be able to get in. Hold on one second. Let me make sure that it's open. I don't know if people are going to be able to get in. Hold on one second. I think it should be good. I am showing that I'm live now. It may take a little bit longer than just I don't know, going live on. Okay, so yeah, it looks like somebody came in. Okay, so I guess y'all can get into the live stream. So I'm just gonna get started, guys. I know there's only one person in the chat room right now, but it's a long. I'm gonna go through Dana Ashley's last interview with this anonymous scientist. I'm gonna just play her video and comment on it. I was thinking about not doing it because it's just like everything in the video is so important, and I've told people to go and watch the video themselves, but it's just it's an impulse. Like I'm really I got something tugging on me to go ahead and show this video and kind of comment on it because it's so important. Like this is a huge angle of our targeting. HAARP. I'll just say, I'm just going to say these words because, my channel only gets out by word of mouth, I think. But, HAARP in conjunction with nanofibers and nanoparticulates. So let's get to it. I'm not going to talk too much about it because they say everything in the video. For anybody in chat, welcome. I hope that people can get in, because we had problems last time. But hello, if you're coming in the chat, can somebody type, just type in chat so I can make sure I can see y'all when y'all type in chat. But I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and let's just get started because I just want to watch this whole video. I wanted to spread this information. I'm sure a lot of you guys who watch my channel have probably already seen this, but I did just want to put it out again, and I kind of wanted to make a few comments about what they're talking about and the solutions to cleansing our body, cleansing our skin of nanoparticulates or morgellons, right? These component parts. Hey, 4x Jack, man, how you doing tonight? Hey, Lisa Marie. Okay, good. So y'all can get into the live stream. I'm gonna try not to make this long, guys. It's not gonna really be a panel tonight. I'll do some of those. We'll do some just hangouts where you guys can just join in. I guess if somebody really does want to talk about morgellons and stuff, they can kind of join in and we can talk about the video. But I'm kind of just gonna go through the video tonight and comment on it, and then I'll probably do a hangout, early this week, like early on this week. We can just get on, and I'll maybe have a little bit of information or an article, and then anybody can join the panel. But I really want to go through this video. Like I wasn't going to do it. I was like, oh, it's just showing her video basically, but it's like I have to get this out of my system. No pun intended, right? Because we got nanotechnology in our bodies, and we need to get that out of our system too. But I really want to show this, so I just got to get it out of my system before I can move on with other information and other things, and and hangouts and stuff like that. Hey, Targeted Survivor, man, how you doing? I talk to you all the time, and I think it's you in Ella's chat room, maybe. I don't know. You may go by a different name. Hey, DJ Duncan, how you doing, man? Well, let me get started, guys, because this is kind of long. Some of you guys may have already seen this. Some of you guys may have already seen this. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I think so. Targeted Survivor. I think that I talked to you in Ella's chat room a lot. Because I remember you went on I think Ramola D's show. Like I remember you going on to Ramola D's like a while back. And I think that's you. I don't know. I'm not sure. There's so many targeted individuals. It's hard to keep track of everything. But you know, it's kind of a good thing. So many people are doing so many different things. It's hard to keep track. That's a good sign, right? And hey, Native, how are you doing? Hey, Jeff, man, what's up? Hey, and so tonight, for anybody who kind of came and you wanted to hang out on the panel, I'm not going to really do that tonight. I'll probably do that later on this week or at the beginning of the week. Let's get started with this video because I do want to make some comments and it's pretty long. If it gets too long-winded, I'll skip to the really important parts. But let's get started, guys. So, you know, grab a coffee, relax, and you know this information, it sucks. Like it sucks and it's a little bit scary. Yeah, thanks, Target Survivor, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for giving me a thumbs up, buddy. Yeah, I need some thumbs up. We need to get this information out. But you know, from how Dana Ashlie makes her videos and she doesn't say certain words, I say all these different words that she's saying not to say on every video that I make. So I don't know if that totally puts you out of the running for YouTube sharing your videos. I mean, I kind of see why my videos don't get shared around that much. I think the only way that my videos get shared around is by word of mouth, pretty much. Okay, but guys, okay, let's get started on this because it's pretty long. I might end up skipping around a little bit, but let's get it started. And the good thing is, and let me answer this text. I'm going to start the video, and so I can answer this text. And Native, hey, Native says, I'm okay, Kyle. How are you? I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing, you know, I'm battling with my defenses and my cleansing and everything. I'm battling what my attackers are doing. Sometimes I'll have some bad periods of time, but then I'll have comfortable periods where it's not that bad, you know. So but it's spinning plates with all these defenses, right? With like Dave Case's CD, with the noise canceling hearing aids and everything like that. And look, I got the noise canceling hearing aids in and the transcranial stimulation device. It's just as long as I spin those defensive plates and do the you know, do the cleansings and my supplements, and then do the defenses that I, you know, put on the defenses that I have, it stays pretty level. Maybe sometimes my attackers are getting through kind of hard, but I have long periods of comfortable times where basically, you know, the worst in those periods of time where it's not too bad is that I'm just really tired. It just feels like I have no adrenaline left. Some, you know, a lot of the remote neural manipulation, some of the brain fog and stuff is left over, so they can do that. But you know, hopefully I'm healing up. Hopefully I'll heal up more. Hopefully you guys are also healing up as much as you can and using the defenses that people are, you know, offering. Hopefully so, because there's a lot of things that do work, guys. Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, I'm going to make a video about that. That's what I may do. My next one, like my next video, we may do a hangout and just talk about Kratom and stuff. I'll bring some articles and then we can kind of start talking about some other stuff. But let me go ahead and get started, guys, because this is pretty long. I'm just going to kind of chill out and go through it. But let's definitely get it started because I might have to kind of skip around a bit. Okay.
A little different than the rest because, as you probably, well, hello YouTube family, it is me, Miss Dana Ashlie. Today, I'm gonna have a video that's a little different than the rest because, as you probably already know, YouTube is really clamping down on content that they deem to be See that? See that, you guys? Yeah, they don't like that stuff. As well
Conspiracy
as
theory. I'm just going to say all the words that she's putting up.
That book. Yeah. So if you know my channel, you already know that pretty much wipes me out. So today I'm going to be taking a very careful approach on this particular video and how I have to go about sharing this info with you. I hope it's not too annoying, but it has to be done. What am I talking about? Here's what we know about the suppression rounds that are happening right now. It's just an algorithm. It's not people, you know, it's a program. So when the words come out of my mouth.
So this is pretty good information, guys, because I didn't know about this stuff. I didn't look it up. And she'll explain it. She'll explain it. She explains it pretty well. Like I always just kind of say whatever words come to my mind. But it's good to keep this in mind that the censorship, the algorithm, the AI algorithm, is actually like when you talk on a video, it's doing this subtitle thing, and then it's finding any word that might be controversial, and then it will suppress your video accordingly.
An auto caption is created and makes a script of it. So the words inside that script are what trigger the different levels of suppression. They don't like the words, you go down. They don't like my words. They don't like a lot of my words. So why I said I hope I'm not annoying today is because today with this particular video, I'm going to be cutting out the words that could probably get me flagged. So when I blot out a word that you may need to know, I'm going to make this sound. And then you can look at your screen and it will be written out so you don't miss it. Here's some of the words they really are not going to like about this video today. You see that? Don't like those. No, no, no. Here's some more. Oh yeah, those are naughty, naughty words. Okay, so let's practice. The main topic in this video is involving a very dark and very sick plan against you and me that is involving these and these. Yeah, okay, great, you got this. So the most important.
So, and the deal is, guys, and I didn't know this, the deal is there's over 200 HAARP facilities worldwide. So, so I would definitely say that, you know, because people would say like, oh, well, HAARP is definitely involved in our targeting. And I was like, well, you know, probably you got some of these, you know, you got radars, like a group of radars and some like Air Force bases and things like that. And you got satellites and you got microwave towers. But I thought that HAARP was just one big facility in Alaska, right? But apparently there's over 200 in the world. So I would say that they are definitely used in our targeting. And in this video is gonna tell us about an angle of that targeting, which part of it I know to be objective fact, right? I know that the Morgellons, the nanofibers that get on our skin and in our body, it's an objective fact. I mean, that's definitely one of the catalysts on our body and our skin that's being used to actually target us. But then he brings in something else that it sounds hard to believe. And I would need some more evidence, but it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Let's keep going with it.
Important aspect of this video, the whole reason why I'm doing it, is because there is one amazingly simple and cheap and effective thing you can be doing to protect yourself from these. Fantastic. So today we won't be saying those words, but we're going to be talking about what the heck they're really doing with them without actually saying the word, which is going to be fun. I learned since filming this intro that far more people are familiar with the existence of the first.
And like I said, guys, I'll probably just say the words because I think my channel only gets out by word of mouth. So might as well just, you know, say the words. But she's really smart. She's getting her videos out to a lot of people about very, very sensitive topics by doing this method. It's so ridiculous. I mean, censorship, the tyranny in our society, and the ignorance and censorship are at such levels, you know, that if we want to speak any kind of truth that goes against the system, right? If it's not part of the plan, if it's not part of the plan of the top of the pyramid, right? The CFR, the what is that? The Council of Foreign Relations. But then you got groups that are higher up. Then you got the military industrial complexes of all of our countries. It's not part of their plan or political agenda to push more confusion and control over the human population of the world. They're going to find a way to censor it. They're going to find a way to make it, even if they can't make it like a censorship thing, like a taking your video down, they can make things really socially censored, like to where when you talk about it, people are like, oh no, that's crazy, don't talk about that, right? So there's all these levels of censorship, not just straight up censoring videos or straight up censoring words. There's also like a kind of a I don't know what you call it, but a social censorship. What people feel like, even some truthers who talk about a lot of issues, talking about targeted individuals and directed energy weapons is like, oh, well, that's going too far, right? So it's like that layer of like social censorship where it's like, what's acceptable? Even when it's people who are like, oh, I'm looking for the truth. I'm always looking for the truth. Talking about this stuff is still going a little bit too far for them. That's why I love Dana Ashlie. You know, she doesn't shy away from it. She goes into the hard topics, even though probably to people who are not targeted or people who have not studied chemtrails. And I think a lot of us are, you know, we know about nanotechnology. We know about nanoparticulates. We know about nanofibers that create Morgellons. And I think, like with me and a lot of you guys, I don't get Morgellons. I don't get anything crawling out of my skin, but I still have these substances in my body, you know, and I'm cleansing that with boron, apple cider vinegar, and the cleansings. But sometimes I wonder, I'm like, are the people who are actually getting symptoms of Morgellons, their bodies are actually trying to reject it? Why is mine not? You know, but let's listen to more of it. We'll talk about that. And I've got y'all. I got the chat room on my tablet because I'm not sure how to, if I go off of this screen, if it's going to go to that other screen to show that other screen. But I'll read some of y'all's chats. If y'all want to leave any comments about this video along the way, because I want us all to kind of talk about it. This is a really, really important issue. I can't help but feeling overwhelmed. I'll just say it, right? We're all overwhelmed by how intense this evil is, how big the plan is to like really turn everybody into antennas, not just targeted individuals, but pretty much the whole population of the world. There's these pyramid systems up, military industrial complex, Council of Foreign Relations above them, then like top of the pyramid above that. And they have a plan to basically, in the population of every country, make sure that people can be antennas so that they can do things, they can run certain programs and simulations, and then they can target anybody they want to at any time. It's overwhelming, right? This targeting is overwhelming. A lot of this information is overwhelming, but I really like this video because it's talking about this overwhelming problem that we have to know anyway. Information is power. Information is definitely power, but then it's also talking about a solution, right? We never want to talk about these big issues without digging for solutions. Like, and we may not have a solution yet, you know, and we do. There's so many solutions for targeting. There's solutions to cleanse your body, but I'm saying on problems that maybe we haven't gotten to yet, that aren't targeting, you may not have a solution right away, but to start thinking about solutions, start thinking about a positive way to tackle them, to get awareness out, things that can defend us. We never want to just be like, oh, well, you know, hey, in you know, Jesus Christ, you know, God as our Savior. Even those solutions, if there's no other solutions presenting themselves, then we want to go to God, right? So so I really like this because it's not like it's a big problem, and I'm kind of like, oh gosh, man. I mean, it's so humongous. How do we do anything about this? How do we stop these organizations with like the most money in the world who just want control over people and want to be able to push a button and kill somebody right away? But they offer some solutions, and we're going to be thinking of a lot more solutions. First, we have to know the problem, right? I think that's the thing in our society. It's like we want solutions, but most people in society don't even know the huge glaring problem, like the biggest problems in our society. You know, So
image I showed you, and the second of the HAARP facilities. So here, from the mouth of
Jeff says everyone is targeted. We are activated. And I think that's exactly right. I think that everybody has been turned into an antenna. They have catalysts in their body like nanotechnology, nanofibers, where they can be targeted at any time, but we're actually being targeted, right? Some of those people who maybe are not direct targeted individuals, where they're getting directed energy put around their head to their vestibular system, to the nanotechnology that passes through the blood-brain barrier, they're sitting there with all this, these nanofibers in their system, right? And then they're sitting in front of their computer, or they have their phone on them all the time. So they're just soaking in all this non-ionized microwave radiation. Even if they're not purposefully like directed energy shot at them like a lot of us, like I guess all of us that, you guys in the chat room and me, they're still soaking in the non-ionized microwave radiation because of the things that are going into their body. And this scientist will explain. Let's get going on it because it's long and I'm blabbing on.
Bob McCoy, the director of Geophysical Institute, admits openly is the purpose of these facilities.
This facility was built by the Air Force about 20 years ago to study the ionosphere, to do active experiments in the ionosphere. The ionosphere is a layer that surrounds the Earth. It's important for a lot of things, like satellite communication. Any kind of radio signals that pass through the ionosphere are affected by the ionosphere. Each of these trailers you see around me have transmitters in them. The transmitters feed power from the main building over there up into these dipole antennas. Fundamentally, what this is about is taking the ionosphere, turning it into a laboratory. We can do experiments. We can create bubbles. We can heat small sections. We can create waves. We can excite.
So he's saying they're doing scientific experiments using the ionosphere, which is a layer of under the atmosphere. Well, it's in the atmosphere really. And the deal with this is they can do it with HAARP, where they can beam a signal, a radio frequency, and then it bounces off the ionosphere and it can come back down to Earth. Now, I've heard about also over-the-horizon radar, which I don't think is HAARP. I think over-the-horizon radar, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure if HAARP can work as an over-the-horizon radar, but you have you probably have fields of over-the-horizon radar too. It's some military bases they tap into. They can also shoot a bidirectional stream, signal up, then down to the target, off the ionosphere, right, and then back to the radar to get the signal back. So I think that HAARP, over 200 facilities worldwide, these are definitely being used in our targeting along with other stuff. It's incredible to think that this is only one angle of this targeting. But like I said, as long as we have solutions, as long as we're trying to build awareness of, we shouldn't think of it as overwhelming. It's just what's happening in our world, and we've got to deal with it.
Plasma resonances and do a lot of experiments. We can transmit signals all around the world, and we can do experiments that no one else can do. It's a laboratory without walls.
Now, if you're the kind of person, let's just back up and say this. If you're the kind of person who doesn't already believe or understand the fact that there's some stuff being intentionally sprayed upon us, I understand. I felt that way myself, 2002, when I first heard about it. I get it. It's a disturbing thing to accept. But you might want to back up and just take a look at other videos on the topic, play a little catch up, because this video is not going to compute. Okay, the fact is these things aren't condensation. Their existence has already been admitted within mainstream publications and by scientific weather mod scientists. It's been declassified. So they're claiming it's to help us.
And isn't that one of those things, guys? It's one of those things where it's like the conspiracy theorists were right. And I don't think anybody who's searching for the truth should be called conspiracy theorists anymore. I think we need to come up with a whole new vocab for that. But it's another one of those things. 9/11, chemtrails. What they do is they say anybody talking about chemtrails is conspiracy theory, and that buys them time, right? It buys them time to hide it from the rest of the public who's not looking too closely, who thinks it's not affecting their lives. But then eventually it comes out and it's common knowledge. So people starting to really wake up about chemtrails, that should be very hopeful for us. It should be very, very hopeful for targeted individuals who are experimented on 24 hours a day. Because some people are still like, oh, those are mentally ill people or whatever. But then it eventually, given time, and I don't think there's too much time left for this program, it comes out. It comes out. Doctors start talking about it, scientists start talking about it, people start just accepting it. And I think when it happens, it's weird. It's like people who are so vehemently saying, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory, they're not going to come out and apologize and be like, oh, well, I was totally against that. They're just going to be like, oh yeah, I knew that, right? So we got to kind of prepare for that. A bunch of people who call this crazy going, oh yeah, we always knew that. And we got to just not care about that, But it should give us hope that, chemtrails are pretty much accepted by the public now. I guess not the entire public, but that awareness is growing every day too.
Of course, fight that devil carbon. Wait, but you're made of carbon. Anyway, I digress. The point is, unless you realize.
Hey, Messenger of the Cross said they can use this to disarm intercontinental missiles. The circuitry is then destroyed. Yeah, electronic warfare. I just, what I'm still unclear on, guys, and I'm gonna research it a lot more. I know there's HAARP facilities. There's over 200 HAARP facilities in the world where they can shoot radio signals, right? And electromagnetic frequencies. But then there's also ground radar too. There's different things. So it's like HAARP isn't the only thing that can use the ionosphere to actually direct energy to certain targets. So I'm unclear on what do they use HAARP for and what do they use ground radar for in drones and satellites, right? See, so it's just a huge grid where certain things like HAARP facilities do a certain type of thing, and then you'd have ground radar, over the horizon radar, those kind of facilities like military facilities, and they would do a specific thing. But then you have your attackers, right? Like in our situation where we're actually being targeted by automated systems, and I have human operators on a remote platform. Now this remote platform can probably tap into HAARP. It can probably tap into whatever HAARP is directing at us, and it can also probably tap into what ground radar, over the horizon radar, or or use a satellite to route the signal through microwave towers, right? So it's like what does what? I'm still trying to figure that out. We're going in the right direction. We have a bottom line where there's this whole grid, this whole bag of tricks that they use. But I'm gonna really be looking into HAARP a lot more. And let's listen to the scientists talk about it. I'm gonna try not to talk too much because it is kind of long.
They are real. Just maybe back up, do a little more homework, because this is like level 2. Okay, guys, some of the stuff we're gonna be talking about here, it's crazy. I'll admit, it sounds crazy, mind-bendingly so, but perhaps just keep an open mind until the end, until I give you that simple solution that we're talking about, so you can kind of have that in your back pocket. And so you may prevent this dystopian nightmare from growing roots inside your biology. I wish I were kidding. So I'm working.
I'd say this too. I just want to add this, like people always say, well, the new world order is coming. Tyranny it's eventually people are going to put chips in people. Eventually this dystopian nightmare is on its way, right? You hear people say that all the time. They're like, oh, bad stuff's coming. Bad stuff is here. The dystopian nightmare is happening, and it's not happening in a way where everybody knows it's happening, right? So we've been fed books and movies where when there's a dystopian And dystopian means really bad, like almost like just tyrannical, Big Brother 1984 type of society. When we read those books and we watch those movies where there's like a dystopian society where everybody's surveilled and there's tyranny, everybody seems to know about it, right? Like the whole of society knows that that's the society they're living in, but that's not how it's happening. This dystopian society where they're torturing people in their homes, us targeted individuals, and then they keep a certain percentage of the population completely ignorant of the horrifying tyrannical things, right? They target certain percentages of the population so that you can have some people who have their little happy family. They're probably getting targeted and hurt, but they just don't know about it, you know, and they go shopping and they, you know, they get to keep their jobs and they have a little happy family. A lot of those people, if they keep that big, a large enough percentage of those people, then they can just go ahead and torture, surveil, take away the rights of those small percentages to really start growing it, right? To start trying to make it everybody. And then, oh, then it's the whole population and it's too late, because they always kept that, that larger percentage of the population ignorant. So it's not happening. It's not happening like it looks in books and movies where everybody just knows. Everybody's like, oh, well, yeah, society's just like this. And every citizen knows exactly the tyranny going on. It's not happening like that. They keep a lot of the public ignorant of all these things until it can grow enough to where they hope, the bad guys, the really evil Luciferians at the top of the pyramid, they hope that at a certain point in time, it will be too late because it will be conditioned into society. The next generation will just accept it. And the next generation after that will just accept it a little bit more. I mean, that's our fight. Our fight is awareness to, you know, try and get people to wake up and, you know, take charge of this world. We were born in this world too. I was born in this world. You guys in chat, you know, this isn't the elite's world. This isn't the cabal's world. I was born into this world too. And they have no claim to my life. You know, just like you guys, they have no claim to your life. So, I mean, our whole thing here, our whole war is waking people up so that we can have, you know, some semblance of civilization, right? Not an illusion. You know, illusion, that's what people who are not being directly targeted and they're like, oh, well, I have some freedom and I have a good job. They live in an illusion of freedom, like what we work for in this world. And I guess maybe when I was a kid, my freedom was an illusion, but what I'm working towards now is real freedom, like real freedom, you know? And it's a hard battle. And I, you know, sometimes I think it's like this stuff gets so big, we just got to do our best and be the best people we can be and decrease suffering. But that's what I would really like. I'd like freedom that's not an illusion, that's not a lie, you know? Freedom where I know if somebody's being hurt in the world and I can help them instead of it being covered up, or you know, when somebody gets hurt, they're just false flags. So, oh, they deserved it or whatever. You know, we need real freedom, and we don't have that in the world. Like nobody has real freedom in the world. It's all an illusion. If other people are suffering grave injustices for doing nothing and are innocent, then nobody has freedom. Like Martin Luther King said, he said, if injustice is done to one, injustice is done to all. You know, if one person suffers grave injustice, it means that it could happen to anybody. If one person is targeted, like us, right? Directed energy weapons 24 hours a day, neuro weapons that just screw the brain up. If it can just happen to us and we're innocent, it can happen to anybody. And people who are not being targeted like this, they have to understand that. They have to understand that it could happen to them and their families at any time. I really, Dana Ashley's awesome because she's getting out this hard information, but she's bringing some hope with it too. Yeah, I had a real urge to show this.
On several videos right now, one being an interpretation of Daniel 2, Nebuchadnezzar's statue dream, unsealed. Very excited about it. It's just taking a lot of time. And another video I'm finishing is about these recent earthquakes that we just had in Southern California. So to round out my research, I had sought out a seismologist of sorts. This man has a genius Mensa brain. He was very well versed in earthquakes, and he knows the triggers for them that the USGS isn't talking about. And in fact, he had accurately predicted something unusual was going on right before July 4th and those 2 quakes that happened down here in Southern California. And
So Lost Year says, can you imagine the day when everyone in the U.S. will wake up to a voice in their head informing them of the new situation, like an Amber Alert, but in your head, and everyone has been kidnapped? Yeah, that's a scary thought, Lost Years. I kind of think that it's gonna, the way that things are done in society, right, and the way that the top of the pyramid does things is they do it very slowly. You know, the frog in boiling water thing, right? So it didn't happen that slowly with us, right? As targeted individuals, you know, one day, well, I guess it may have. It actually may have. It may be more complicated than that. But when I was overtly targeted, like I had a high pitch ringing in my ears and it felt like I was being murdered. Like that day, it got really bad. You know, but most things, but it's like, if they're doing it to a small percentage, then that is the frog in boiling water. Because there's going to be a large enough percentage of the population to be like, oh, well, that's mental illness. Oh, that wouldn't happen to me. Just any kind of justification not to do anything about it until it happens to them. And I've been there too. Me and another targeted individual were talking about it. And, after 9/11, our military went over to Afghanistan, and a lot of innocent people were killed, like kids and families. Their rights were taken away. And I said, well, our military does the right thing. The U.S. does the right thing. They're not going to just hurt innocent people, right? And I didn't do anything about that. And then it came to me, right? And then I started being targeted. My family started being targeted because there was grave injustice happening overseas. And then the murmurs of terrorism in our country. And now, oh, it's not just the Taliban, it's not just ISIS over there. There's domestic terrorists over here. Terrorism is everywhere, right? And then it came to me and my family. So now we've got people out there, single people and families, who they're like, well, it's not going to come to me. The people who are targeted and surveilled, oh, they deserve it. Whatever justification, whatever lie, it's a lie, because none of us deserve this. None of us deserve torture. Everybody deserves freedom. But that's what happens. You have enough people saying, well, it can't happen to me, and then they eventually come for those people, right? There's that saying, the saying after World War II, where they came for homosexuals. And I said, well, they're not coming for me. They came for this group. They came for the Jews. And I said, well, they're not coming for me. And they came for this group. And then when they came for me, no one was left to speak up, right? So that's kind of the way that this top-down structure is doing it. It's doing things very slowly, so people, and I don't even understand it, because this is a huge thing. People should be aware of it. But somehow, with social conditioning and propaganda and the mainstream news actually being trusted still, which that's kind of going away. It's kind of going away. So that's a good thing. But people still ignore the troubles in their society. And with the targeting, it's even worse than that. With the targeting, it's people aren't just ignoring that people are being tortured and dying. They're joining up to harass them while they're dying, while they're being tortured. I mean, that is like, think about how evil that is. The lies are so big that good people in the community don't even just not help us. They join in to help murder us without knowing what they're doing. I mean, think about the mind games. When people say this is a war for our minds, it's a war for everything, our mind, body, and our soul. I mean, these people, that's why, okay, well, let's keep listening to this, guys, because when they start talking about the simulation, that's when I want to see what y'all think. And I'll read some of y'all's chats about it. It's just so, so unbelievable. Even as a person who's being hit with directed energy weapons and like remote neural manipulation to my brain, my attackers are reading and writing to my brain. I have a little bit of a hard time believing in an avatar-like simulation based off of this. But let's listen to it. I'm jumping the gun as always.
Let's get to it. By the way, so I'm talking to him about that, and then he laid out this crazy piece of information right in my lap, which is the topic of this video. So to give you some background, about 7 years ago, this man had assembled a team of over 300 people, scientists, physicists, doctors, lawyers, think tank people, to prepare research alongside another man whose name I will not be saying. But all you need to know is that according to this guy, he had built hundreds of facilities all over the planet. Now, he and his research team were getting together daily for the purpose of officially disclosing the information behind these facilities and those streaks in the sky that we're all so sick of looking at. So the men who built these facilities knew not only what the sky streaks, we'll just call them that, see if that works, contained, but how these particulates interact with human biology in conjunction with the facilities that he had built. So not long after, this team of researchers began having regular meetings and even radio programs where they began divulging this information. Suddenly, 13 members of his team and his personal family were attacked, and many lost their lives. This is no joke. He lost his own mother, multiple cousins, and others who weren't taken out came down with this sudden mystery virus, leading to the immediate need of heart surgery. Many of these folks died within weeks, some within days, but all of them together within the same.
So guys, what I'm thinking about this, she's saying that this team, like 13 members of this team of scientists and their families were attacked. They came down with mysterious symptoms, right? Heart symptoms, where they had to go get heart surgery. And it happened very rapidly. Some of them lost their lives. You know, to me, I directly think, okay, that was directed energy weapon attacks. You know, the nano inside their body, radio frequency, along with all the other electromagnetic frequencies, pretty much can be beamed to somebody's body, can be beamed to their vestibular system to attack their body. So what I'm thinking that is that this was targeting. Now they don't talk about that a lot in this video. They kind of just say, oh, well, it's a way to attack the public. It's a way for frequencies to be read from them, but they don't really talk about like the hardcore directed energy streams hitting people, or the actually brain mapping, you know, cloning your EEGs so that they can just then mess with them in a program and it actually messes with your real brain. They kind of skirt that. They kind of talk about it in general, but when I hear that like some of these 13 scientists and their families, some of them actually died, I think, okay, that's directed energy attack. That's frequencies being, you know, shot at their body, or remote neural manipulation affecting their heart through the nanoparticulates, through those nanofibers, right? And so now we'll keep going. But so now what I see as catalysts, your unique brainwave signature, non-consensual implants, even though it's an older technology, I think they still use it. Then you got nanofibers, Morgellons, right? And then I think still, and I've got to get more concrete evidence, but I think that still there's another angle too. There's smart dust. And I don't think that smart dust, because smart dust is like these little bitty microchips that can receive signals. I don't think that's the same exact thing as the nanofibers, right? So maybe with those four things that I just said, it's even, there's different variations of smaller technology that can work as catalysts in our bodies, right? So just the Morgellons is like one type. It's like one type of this crap that can get into our bodies. I'm going to try not to make it complicated. Let's just watch this. But what I'm trying to convey is that I'm trying to figure out, like, all the different catalysts, because when we know that, then we can know how to cleanse them out, how to get them out, and de-intensify the targeting to unhook. And that's what I was telling one of my targeted friend, one of my TI friends last night. I was like, you got to think about these people who are attacking us, and the automated weapons is a parasite, and you want to unhook as much as you can. You want to defend and neutralize and unhook that parasite. Like if you got a parasite on you, and I know a lot of target individuals, like I get angry too. We get angry and we start like talking back to the V2K or thinking back to the V2K, and it's like this parasite. It gets its hooks in, and the hooks get tighter as we try and as we wrestle with it directly. So what I found is you got to like unhook from the parasite, deal with the deal with the symptoms of the disease, and then go for the head of the snake, right? To get awareness out about this entire program, get doctors to help us. The rally, which the rally is on Thursday, the TI rally day on Thursday. So that's going to be huge. That's going to be huge, guys. But let's go on with the video. And I may comment some more.
Couple week period of time. Totally disbanded the group. They got what they wanted. But most importantly, these men knew of this sinful substance to counteract this technology, which is why I'm sharing this with you today, even though I'm sticking my neck out. And yeah, we won't take that sentence any further. But anyway, his email disclosing this info with me shared how these size particulates grow to a predetermined diameter once they hit the hydrochloric acid of the human digestive tract. What? And he explained how these bots then have the capacity to move and communicate within the global frequency. And believe it or not, the craziest part is yet to come. You've seen the movie The Matrix, right? Well, it's more real than any of us want to consider. He claimed that the nano's ultimate purpose to create the bots inside the body is to collect all kinds of biological data from you. Just like a Fitbit can tell you your heart rate and whatever, these things are being used to create a simulated version of you right now. According to him, the data.
And so as targeted individuals, she was saying that it can collect all this biological data, right? But we also know that our attackers in the automated system can do remote neural monitoring. So it can actually pick up mental function, can pick up visuals from your head, what you're seeing and things like that. So along with this biological data, they can collect data from your brain, data from your eyes and everything like that, which I guess would fall into biological data. When I watch this, and we're going to watch some more of it, we're going to watch the whole thing. It's so important. I don't know, guys. I don't know if everybody in the world, like every human being, has this stuff in them, and they can just see what they're seeing. They can see their brain function, because it seems like, for me, it seems like as I've been targeted, it's taken a lot of severe torture and trauma to get to that point, to actually write to my brain, to actually manipulate my brain. But does it take no trauma just to kind of see what you're thinking, right? And put it into some kind of simulation? I mean, it's an incredible thought. I'm still kind of unsure on all this information. I know that the Morgellons is very true. And so the bottom line of this information is like, we got to take boron, we got to do the apple cider vinegar, we got to do the cleansing baths and stuff to get this off of us. But the other information, and we'll all listen to it. Maybe some of you guys have already seen it, but let's listen to this anonymous scientist. I wish that there was a way. I know he's not safe. Let's watch it. I'll talk about it as it goes on.
Data is being collected and is going from us to create a real-world simulation of you. Apparently, they do this to keep an eye on who's causing the kind of ripples within our network of communication that puts their child elite plan in jeopardy. But down the road, the plan is to flip and let the bots do the controlling. I told you it sounded crazy. But anyway, he ended the email by saying, you might believe that the government is behind this, but the dupes in Washington are bumbling idiots compared to the elite and their mad scientists that are working under the Council of Relations working groups that run this AI-assisted real-world sim program.
And I completely agree with that. Like, I know that, you know, this is a governmental program. Like, these things, the government puts money into Black projects. It gives the DOD blank checks, right? Basically, I mean, it gives taxpayer money and it appropriates funds for Black projects, for projects in DARPA, but the senators and the representatives are lied to. Like, there's a directed energy caucus where representatives and senators are like in this directed energy caucus, but they're only told about like the directed energy weapons on boats and stuff like that. They're not told about the human experimentation, and they're probably not told about any of the, you know, chemtrailing and the nanofibers that are getting into everybody's skin and inside of them, but they're footing the bill for it. They're putting money into it in the military industrial complex, which I think that's part of these groups, right? The groups that she's talking about, you got the CFR, then you got everything under them. DARPA, the Pentagon, and the DOD, and all these subcontractors and contractors, they're the ones, you know, experimenting with all this stuff. But it really is a government program because the government's funding it, but they just have no idea. They have no idea what they're funding. Maybe some of them have researched it on their own or talked to people in the military and have maybe found out. But most of them, if they don't ask, they probably aren't told. You know, that's the thing about. Well, let's go on. I don't want to talk too much because it's kind of long.
You might want to rethink your plan to expose this, because that could put you on a list once the sim shows your hosts creating waves that threaten their program. So I followed up with him to arrange a talk, and the chat will make up the rest of this video. Now, I don't know how long I'm going to keep this video up here. It's going to be here for a moment, at least for those with ears to hear and eyes to see. I pray that it gets to everyone who needs to see it. I'm probably going to try to keep it up on my Patreon page, and then hope to have a website of my own up soon so I can have all these things backed up there.
So that's kind of the reason I wanted to show the whole thing, guys. I do want to comment on it, and you know, you guys can chat about it, what this anonymous scientist says. But one of the reasons, and like I kept going back and forth, I was like, well, I'm just going to show her whole video. You know, I've been getting kind of cold feet about just showing somebody's whole video. You know, I'm like, oh, I don't want to take their content or anything like that. Which at the beginning I was like, just show all important content. This is a war. But then I kind of got a little bit conditioned by the rules of YouTube and, you know, not taking people's content. I'm a little bit confused on, you know, I still think this is a war and we just got to get important information out. But you know, that's one of the reasons, because I don't know, she doesn't know if it's going to stay up. So I'm hoping that we can just spread it around. It'll be in different places for people to get to the information. And TGVJYC says, please pray for me. They've killed 2 of my birds by radiation too. So everybody, let's say a prayer for TGVJYC. I'm really sorry about that. And Jeff O says, I think it's more silent speech, Kyle. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a part of it, Jeff. I think that's a part of it, but you know, with these frequencies, how it's almost like it's like an MRI readout. It's not exactly like that, but it's using electromagnetic frequencies to actually read and write signals to the brain. So it can, so if they have strong signals coming in that can actually put a visual in your visual space, or it can do some inner voice stuff, or it can manipulate the brain, right? Manipulate the brain through the nervous system. They can get signals back, like remote neural monitoring, remote neural manipulation, this bi-directional stream of energy that can read and write to the brain. Now if we can weaken the signals coming in, we can weaken the signals that they're getting back. But the brain basically creates electromagnetic frequencies when you think. It's electrochemical. The chemicals that are produced in your brain create electrical responses from neurons, and then they can read that. They can read that if they're sending in signals to the brain. They can get signals back. So it does get kind of complicated, guys. And when it gets complicated, when it gets too complicated, guys, just bottom line it. We need to bottom line it sometimes. We got catalysts in our body. We're being hit with directed energy weapons and neuro weapons. It's messing with our brain. It's messing with our body. If you ever get to a point where you're just like, oh, this technical information, it's too much. You know, I get there too. And almost sometimes I'm like, I don't even want to get too technical, because we just need to say it in, you know, we just need to say this stuff in basic language that everybody can understand. But the reason why I want y'all to understand the reason why I do is because it's helped me to find defenses and things like that. And the more that we understand the details of how this works, the better the defenses can become. And it's like, it's not good enough for me, or, you know, there's a lot of other targeted individuals talking about the technical aspects of this. But when we talk about it, we kind of got to, you know, talk to you guys about it, because there might be somebody in chat right now who's very smart and creative, or somebody that comes and watches this video that has ideas that maybe didn't know about, you know, something, the technical aspect, and they could find some awesome defense based on that information, right? But, you know, when it gets too complicated for me, I just say, okay, well, I'm just bottom lining it. You know, we're being targeted by directed energy weapons. It messes with the mind. It messes with the body. We need to do things to cleanse our body and block it, and let people know that this is happening, right? But anything, you got to understand this too. Anything that the top of the pyramid doesn't want the rest of society to know about, the general public to know about, they're going to make it super complicated. They're going to have a lot of moving parts, right? So it's like we're gang stalked. We're gang stalked by DHS fusion centers and InfraGard and those agencies, along with being tortured by directed energy weapons. That's already two moving parts that people are like, well, why would they do that and that, right? And it's much more complicated than just those two moving parts. But it's done on purpose, because the more complicated that the top of the pyramid in the military industrial complex can make these things, the less likely people are to believe it. People are being conditioned in the wrong way. They're being conditioned with Occam's razor, right? That the most simple solution is the only solution, while our world becomes super complicated with many moving parts. So it's this inversion. People are being given knowledge that's not helpful for them. Oh, it's always the simplest thing, right? There's nothing that bizarre in life until it happens to you. And then you realize that there's a lot of bizarre stuff in life. And that's it. It's unbelievable. Like the social conditioning, the social conditioning and algorithms for controlling people and propaganda to keep all this moving. These systems that they are building with these mechanisms in place to stop good people from really moving forward a lot. I mean, we're going to break those mechanisms, but it's unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable, the money, the resources, the think tanks, and all these and all these mad scientists that are in the military industrial complex and DARPA and everything, that are figuring out how to control people, how we work, how human beings work, and what they can pull on us, what they can do to a certain percentage of society, where the rest of society will be like, oh, no, that's not happening, or, oh, I'm not going to talk about it. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I want to add, it's why we need Jesus Christ. It's why we need God, because the people at the top of the pyramid, the cabal, they've screwed humanity. I mean, and on purpose, and they're trying to screw humanity more. So we need miracles, we need God, and we need to be the best that we can be, even when we're being tortured. But we need to defend ourselves and get some practical things to feel better, so we can be our best selves, so we can do incredible things, so that God can work through us. God, all this stuff gets so annoying, y'all. Like my It's worth it though. It's like I'm spinning plates and stuff like that with my defenses, but it's given me a lot more control. It's given me a lot more control over the pain that my attackers can hit me with. Okay, let's keep going, guys.
Finally, I'm obligated to say that this video is for entertainment purposes only. This is not medical advice. You should consider the following content a comedy and definitely not to be taken seriously.
I just want to add one quick thing, and I was thinking about changing, because on my videos I put news and politics. I was thinking maybe YouTube might send out my videos more, or send up my videos, or share them if I changed it to comedy. I might try it on a couple of videos, but I don't know. That's like saying, because what we're saying is very true, so I don't want to put a comedy label on it, Guys, we are in the dystopia. I mean, all you guys in chat would agree with me. We are definitely in the dystopia.
Seriously, that's what we have to do these days. Can you believe it? Crazy times. Anyway, I know it's annoying. We've lost our ability to speak freely, but my friends, I'm afraid it's only going to get worse, and I want to last as long as I can so that I can keep my friends on YouTube in the know. This man, Terrell, whom we'll be interviewing in a moment, is a very good man. You can find links to his work, his YouTube channel, and the newsletters that we're going to be speaking about in this chat in the description box. I certainly haven't looked into all of his work yet, but the topics we are discussing today, I believe, is quite valid, as is his work predicting earthquakes and the earth changes he is anticipating as well. So I hope you enjoy and that this serves you and your families well. So let me just pull up my questions. So by the way, wow, on your email, I can't even believe what all you've been through. I mean, I can, but that was incredible in regards to your, your team that you had and everything. I'm very sorry for what you went through, but I would assume that part of that you don't want to be shared or discussed in public, no? Or
I'm not sharing my screen right now, right?
No, you're not.
Okay, I was just making sure. That's a topic that we can go through if you want to. I'd let people do that. You can go with anything you want. I'm just warning you that AI is going to be paying careful attention to identify threats, anything futuristic from what we're saying that could raise your threat level and my threat level, things like that. So with the sodium, what we're talking about is a nanofilament.
Okay, so he's saying that if you talk about sensitive topics, the AI is going to respond to that. It's going to see you as a threat. And I'm thinking, I was targeted. I think that I had a non-consensual implant put into me at Ochsner when I was 12. And then, I was put into this program, and then it kind of, I don't know. I'm still trying to think about that. But it makes sense. It makes a whole lot of sense that it might not even just be this. Okay, bear with me, guys. This is a theory. This is not a fact. But we may be at a point where it's not just the things you say. It's not just the things you talk about. The things you think could get you targeted, right? So like we were talking about, Jeff was saying that it's like we're actually activated, they're directly targeting us. Then maybe there's people all throughout society, maybe an almost complete percentage of the population of the world who has, nanofibers and nanotechnology and are getting remote neural monitored. If they think revolutionary thoughts or have some type of idea for invention, maybe it's not like that right now. Maybe it's not complete, right? Maybe they don't have their hooks into everybody at this point, but you can imagine that down the road, what they're shooting for, what they're going for is to be able to, when somebody, even if they're not directly targeted, they can still see certain words that they're thinking, or certain ideas or inventions, or what they want to do in life that may be trouble for the top of the pyramid, and boom, they get targeted. was that maybe done to some of us? Maybe not even what we were saying, but but what we were watching, what we were thinking about it, future plans to help the world. I mean, just think about it. I'm not 100% sure how that works, but I mean, that's kind of where things are heading. I mean, I guess it's obvious to targeted individuals because our thoughts can be read. What if they're moving so that everybody in the world, they can have a red alert when somebody thinks the wrong words and get more resources on those people? I mean,
replication inhibitor. And what got me in trouble was working with the Institute. It wasn't because of Project Black Star that got me in trouble.
What was the main goal of the Institute?
Those are the people that specialize in Magellan's research.
Oh.
Things like that, which is uncontrolled replication of the silicone strands inside of people's bodies. So it's like
right.
Silicone-based life form is what it is.
I'm familiar.
So you guys hear that? Pay attention to that, because these nanofibers, these nanoparticulates are silicone-based life forms. So that's why they can replicate. So it's biological mixed with metal. Like these nanoparticulates are like a biological component mixed with a metal component, and it creates fibers, but it's a life form. Like it's this little cyborg life form that can reproduce in the body. I mean, incredible. And I mean, I guess a lot of us already knew this, right? When we think about nanoparticulates or Morgellons, but you got to think about it. Half biological and half metal. In my thinking, the microcosm, macrocosm, you have nanoparticulates that are component parts biological and component parts like metal, that not flesh, right? And then you think about what they're trying to do to us. They're trying to make us component parts flesh, component parts metal and machinery. I mean, this is and Dana's going to do another video. She's going to do another video on the statue. I forgot what it's called. Can somebody who knows the Bible better than me in chat, what's the statue where it has like feet of clay and then legs of bronze, and it talks about the mixing of clay and metal, and those will be the end times. And I'm becoming more and more convinced every day that maybe it is the end times. I kind of just live as if the next day is coming, and then whatever happens, Jesus is going to handle that, and I'm just going to do my best. But this stuff is just right on the money with biblical prophecy. Yeah, Daniel. Okay, thank you, TG. Yeah, Daniel. It's the statue of Daniel. Oh, and thanks, Moment of Truth. Thanks, guys. Yogi says nanofibers are the mesh for Neuralink. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a whole lot of sense, Yogi, because I mean, that Elon Musk is taking the work of DARPA and the DOD and the Pentagon and all these contractors and hospitals that work with him. He's taking all those collaborative efforts and then making this new medical / consumer product. So that makes complete sense. Yeah, Autumn says, I think so too, Kyle. I think we are in the end times. I try not to think like that. I try to have a logical, scientific mind, and I believe in miracles and spirituality. But I'm like, well, maybe it's not the end times. We don't know when they're coming, but man, all the signs are here. But I got a bottom line that. I got a bottom line the end times thing. We just got to be the best that we can be and reduce suffering, and just try and live the most happy lives we can, even if it is end times. But man, all these signs are totally there. Autumn says, Yogi, and the entire world is supposed to have them by 2030. Yeah, it was really creepy when Elon Musk said, it's not like these things are going to be hooked into everybody and people are going to be able to control your mind right away. he said right away at the end of it. And I'm not sure if those are the exact words. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but it was something about, you know, it's not like everybody's going to be, they're going to be able to take over your mind right away. And he said it weird, and it was, he tried to make a joke out of it, but it was kind of creepy. TrueStream Media did a video on it. TrueStream Media did a video on that presentation that you guys should watch. I may go over that in another video too.
Right. And so members of the team, just saying his name raises your breath.
I won't say his name.
No. Well, I already have, but he was a key member. I learned most of what I know from him. He was the chief over the building of more than 200 facilities around the world. He understands the technology. He understands all of that.
So y'all heard that? He said over 200 HAARP facilities all around the world. Now, I didn't know that. That was news to me. And I probably a lot of you guys maybe already knew that, but that was news to me. I thought there was one HAARP facility in Alaska, and they did kind of a lot of experimentation with that one HAARP facility, but they've been building these HAARP facilities all over the world for like the past 20 years. So I would say it's a definite, and you'll listen to these guys talk, it's a definite angle of our targeting, where they're receiving signals to and from nanofibers in our body and using that in the whole targeting, I don't want to say experience, right? But I guess the whole targeting thing, you know, because then you got others, you got unique brainwave signature, non-consensual implants, and then I think you've got another thing too, that's smart dust or small chips that can cross the blood-brain barrier. So different types of these catalysts. I mean, this is bizarre. Like I'm seeing you guys write it in chat, and I completely agree. So bizarre and so big. It's going to affect humanity. It's already affecting humanity in tremendous ways, and people ignore it. You know, people ignore it, and we can't. We're not allowed to ignore it because it's happening directly to us. But everybody's got to realize this does affect them, even if they're not being targeted as hard as we are. Oh, I'm sorry, TG. Lion in the Lamb says, this is the beast system. The toes of the statue, clay and iron. Okay. The toes of the statue are clay and iron together. Future Knowledge says, no. Well, I mean, I've thought this before, Future Knowledge. I'm just presenting her information. But thank you. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. You got to come on to a panel, Future Knowledge. You got to get Zoom. I think you can use it even on your phone. We got to chill one night. I'm going to do that this week. Lynette, beloved daughter of God, says, we are living in the end times. The prophetic signs from the book of Revelation are being fulfilled in this age. Yeah, and I'm going to go, I've read Revelations before, but I'm going to go back and read it. And I'm going to see kind of what I see in the connections too, and study it a little bit. Rick M says, to most, this is as close to heaven as they get. To us faithful, this is as close to hell as we get. Stay strong. Yeah, that's a good thought, Rick. That's a very good thought. Native says, you make some excellent points, Kyle, but I believe we need to question the very foundations and ideas upon which this program is supposedly built. Yeah, you're right, Native. I mean, it's built around transhumanism. It's built around really the people of the world not having rights compared to the cabal, like where we're cattle to be done with as they please. It's built around very, very Luciferian satanic principles of there is no God. And I'm saying this is what the top of the pyramid believes, not what I believe. Because when you believe in God and you respect God, you respect life, you respect creation, things go good. There's definite death and destruction, but it's not tragedy. It's not tragic. It's not evil. Now, when men try and be God and they do this stuff, ultimate evil occurs. Ultimate evil occurs, and families are ripped apart, and sadness for entire lives, you know. So that's how I know there's a God, because I see somebody who's filled with the Holy Spirit, who's connected to God, taking action in the world, good stuff happens. Miracles happen. People are happy. And then I see people without God, nihilists, doing stuff and trying to act like they are God, destruction, doom, and tragedy. You know, that's kind of how I see it. So Native says, perps put out disinfo to confuse. If you start with ideas of disinfo, you are already lost. Yeah, if you don't start with the right premise, then everything you learn after that is going to be wrong. Yeah, but I think we have enough bottom line information where misinformation and disinformation can maybe throw us off the track a little bit, but I don't think it can totally just derail us, because we have enough bottom line important information of what's happening that we can build upon. Of course, even with this, right? Okay, even with this, and I'm not saying I don't trust this scientist that she's talking to. I don't know him. He's anonymous. He's saying that there's a simulation. There's a part of me that says this could be disinformation. You know, it might not be that they have exactly that kind of technology. I don't think so. I do believe it, but I'm saying even in this, there's a question, but it's like we're introducing it into already, we've got all this information. We're gonna maybe sometimes get information that's not exactly correct, but it can't just completely derail us because we're far enough along. We understand the basics, right? But you're right, Native. And I think I really do believe the scientist. I want to go through it together and kind of see what y'all think.
Stuff. And he set me down and explained it to me how everything works, so I could see the larger picture. And it's very frightening of what the reality really is.
So he saw what it was doing when he was building it, and he decided to stop and go talk about it and try to be a part of the solution.
Well, 2013. Now it's digitized. When they changed from the analog system to digital, then they built a lot more facilities. Without him, he was upgraded, so he was phased out. New people are in there now, but he still knows what he told us about the transition as it was happening, and his body is riddled with, and members of his family have been taken to the people that he worked with, and so.
Horrible. So I wanted to, just for the people who haven't had know what your email said to me, you mentioned this program since 2013 maintains the carrier wave around our planet that AI uses to create frequencies for maintaining communications within our bodies, creating input feeds for hosts populating sims or real world simulations. Now, technology that I've heard of has been around a long time. And back then they said it was for space only, but was it always designed to control these effects in our bodies that we're talking about?
The program has a lot of different uses. This is one of them.
Okay.
Right here. The goal is to create like a matrix, a real world simulation populated with real world hosts. A little you and a little me is in there, just like in the Matrix with Neo and Morpheus. They're having a conversation just like we are. The goal is to take the feed from us, from our respiration, our heartbeat, everything, and feed it directly to the real world host to make it as real as possible. Over 70% of the population can be integrated into the real world simulation. The oddities of the human anatomy make it so that a percentage of the population cannot be integrated. But they're breaking the nanometer barrier.
Okay, so he said like 70% of the population, they can be put into this simulation from frequencies to and from their body and probably their brain. Then he's saying like 30% have physical or mental anomalies where it's not working. They're not going into the simulation. And I wonder, I don't think there's 30% of the population of the world that's targeted like we are. But I wonder if we are in a percentage group, like we're a smaller percentage of that 30% group, that maybe something's not working right, and we're not being able to be put into that simulation. I don't know, because I also think that they're looking at that simulation to see who they should target, and that may be why we're targeted. So that wouldn't make sense if we're not able to be put into that simulation. But that's very, very interesting, how 30%, and constantly working on new ways to get them in. Is that why they're experimenting on some targeted individuals? Because they share traits with certain people who can't just be uploaded to the simulation, you know, through the nanofibers, through frequencies from HAARP going to and from. I don't know. It's a question, really, not a definitive, oh, this is happening. But I do question if maybe we're in a smaller percentile group of a smaller percentile group, that maybe they're having trouble getting them into these real life simulations where they have algorithms to see what you're going to do, what this group of people is going to do, and then they can go, okay, well, we need to take care of this group, or we need to take care of this person, because with our projections, you know, because it's a simulation, so they can run it faster, right? They can run it faster than actual how real time is happening. They can see what you're going to do in the future using hyper game theory. I mean, how far does that go? Like, I don't know how far it goes, but I mean, we gotta ask some questions about that. I wish that we could get some more concrete data on these things. But you know, if DARPA is doing it, if they're black projects, that's going to be hard information to get. It's going to be hard information to get.
More and more, down from 10 nanometers, down to 5 nanometers, and they are helping AI to get a better hold on what he's supposed to do, which is reattach amino acids to bugs like the H1N1 bug. The only thing that made that not a super strain and a super killer was the removal of 2 amino acids that they want AI to put back in, put the teeth back into the guy. Whenever everybody has the H1N1 in them right now. That's the first half of the binary. All they need to do is
binary weapon, right? When he's saying binary weapon, I think he's talking about a bidirectional stream, that it can send signals and it can receive signals. So it's like a binary thing, it can pick up and send. I'll have some really good comments, so I wanted to read through some of them. Native Neuropter says, no, they can track eye movement. I know they can hear heart and breathing, just not 100% convinced on the mind reading aspect, as I know they can implant thoughts, that's all. Well, you got to think about it, Native. If they can implant thoughts, that means that they can read the thoughts. Whatever signals they're able to push, they're able to pull. And that's just from like, you kind of learn that about just any kind of frequency return. If they can put something there, like say they can push a signal into my visual cortex and a picture in my visual cortex, that means that they can get a signal from the visual cortex. If they're able to manipulate it, they're able to read it. That's my understanding. It's my experience too with this, because y'all remember I have B2K, so it's always commenting on what it's doing. It's commenting on my thoughts and stuff. Even when I'm not saying a name and I can't remember the name of a person, right? I'll be thinking of a name. I'll be thinking of a picture of an actor, right? That actor who was in Captain America: Civil War. His name is Daniel Bruhl, but I couldn't remember it one day. Could not remember it at all. Didn't have it in my head. And my attackers through V2K said, Daniel Bruhl. So I didn't know the name. I didn't say it in my inner voice or subconsciously because I didn't know it. And they provided it to me. So they saw that picture of that actor, you know. Also one time, there's a bunch of those kind of circumstances, but also one time I was thinking of the snakes that eat themselves, you know, the Aurora burrows it's called, but I didn't know the name. I couldn't remember it. And my attackers also over V2K said Aurora burrows, you know, when I thought of the image of it, because the little necklace on the Neverending Story is an Ouroboros or whatever. Messenger of the Cross says they could be shaking up the world with HAARP. This is the sentient world simulation. Yeah. Yeah, the Drunken Ninja says there's another technology that's able to send sound through a light bulb. Yeah, I think they can also use dirty electricity in the walls. They can basically create an electromagnetic field from it, right? And that's interesting that you said there's another technology that's able to send sound through a light bulb, because these light bulbs in my room right here, and this is, I sleep right under them. They, like, I'll buy them and they'll break after like 2 weeks. They only last 2 weeks and they burn out. So I think you're really right about that, Drunken Ninja. I think they're doing something with light bulbs, and I think they can do it with wire, just wiring in the wall and everything like that. Rick M says, only way out of Matrix is Jesus Christ, being obedient, living holy unto him. It's called being saved, being born again. And I agree, Rick. I agree that that's the one path. But I also think that, and I'm sure you think this too, we've got to just reduce suffering and fight evil as best we can, because God would want us to fight this as best we can. I mean, that's what he's put into my heart. But I agree. The only way to save ourselves from this is with the power of God, with the power of Jesus Christ. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean it's just like, well, we die and we just go to heaven? Or does it mean that God will put things in our path and help us to create awareness? I don't know. I don't know what God has in store for me and in store for you guys, but I feel like this is what I have a strong feeling, like things can get better as more people become aware. The defenses are going to get better. Even if the program doesn't end this year, the defenses that we use are going to be better. And that's through God. I pray to God in the name of Jesus Christ to send us defenses. And he's already given me miracles like that. So it's like we got to strive for fixing things, right? We got to strive for taking out evil and letting people know, and trying to get things back to a civilized free world. We got to try, but it may not happen. It may not be God's will, and he may have another path for us, and it may be in the next life. We may just have to suffer here, and then in the next life, we'll find out what it was all about. I have a strong feeling, though, even, and this is an if, guys, because I do believe this program will end. I do believe that it will ease up on us, and things will, more things will come out, medical and consumer products, so it can't run parallel to them. Court cases will be won. I think that, all those things will happen. But I'm just saying, even if this didn't stop, right? Let's just, this is a theory, and I don't believe this is going to happen, but say, like, I'm 38 now. Say I live till 60 or 70, and this never stops. I'm still going to find defenses along the way, and I'm still going to make my life as happy and as good as I can and help people. I'm still going to try and make a little family, maybe not kids, but definitely, wife and stuff like that. So we just don't know what God has in store for us, but we've got to try we got to ask God for the biggest dream, right? We got to dream big and say, God, can you bring the world back to good? Can we defeat evil here? And so women and children can be protected, and we can go to something more akin to what our founding fathers built, or like Greece. Greece had these, in ancient Greece, they had these little city states where people could go to that specific city state if they liked the way that it was governed. They were all governed differently. So it added this autonomy and freedom to people where they could choose where they wanted to live. I hope and I dream that things can be better, that good people can get a leg up for doing good things, instead of what we have in our society now is an inversion where evil people get rewarded for doing evil things. Now, is that in God's will? I don't know. We're going to see. I know it's in his will for us to reduce our own suffering and other suffering. I've experienced that. But the whole world and what's happening and the next generation coming up, and they're going to accept a lot of these crazy things. We just got to do our best, right? Messenger of the Cross says they have mapped us out and inserted into the sentient world simulation a digital copy of our brainwave patterns, which is tied to a supercomputer in live time by a bidirectional stream of photons. Yeah, I agree with that. I believe that's an angle of our targeting. But there's also like external hits and stuff like that, and then there's electromagnetic fields around the head to actually be introduced in the vestibular system. But I think you're right on the money, Messenger of the Cross. Yeah, I do actually believe that that is occurring, the sentient world simulation. But I tread lightly. I want to tread lightly because the borderline simple information that we're trying to give out is already just overwhelming for somebody who doesn't look into any of this stuff. Their brain almost blows up. They can't take it. They want to get away from it. So it's like things are a lot worse than even that baseline targeted individuals are being tortured with directed energy weapons. And we've got these organized gang stalkers. Things go deep, things go deep. So I agree with you, man. So Native Neuropterus says, watch my video. So everybody check out Native Neuropterus' channel. So guys, I'm gonna go on with the video here. But remember, if you have a YouTube channel, please put it in chat. And hey, Stacy, how you doing? Okay, but I'm gonna continue with the video. If you have a channel, please promote it in my chat room. Any TI, where if you want people going to your channel, go ahead and promote it in my chat room. You have my blessing on that.
2 amino acids back, and then you have these in different populations. You're going to get different super strains that are going to evolve out of that until you get the super deadly killer. So they can use AI with using voice commands to eliminate an individual, a family, or a race of people by AI and HAARP, the nanos, is carrier wave, sub-frequencing on top. So it's like broadband for the communication of AI in inside your body, for gathering all the information, back and forth communication, for giving information to the real world host. So the idea is to build and populate the real world simulations. The feed is coming from us to them, but then the plan is to reverse the feed.
Right.
So they reverse the feed, then they get the real world host working ahead of us, and then they reverse the feeds, and then I'm being controlled by the host inside the simulation. That's what they're doing. But it's not just for people. It's not just
so
for
let's
animals.
go back. Let's hear that again, guys.
Now, that's the first half of the binary. All they need to do is put the 2 amino acids back, and then you have these in different populations. You're going to get different super strains that are going to evolve out of that until you get the super deadly killer. So they can use AI with using voice commands to eliminate an individual, a family, or a race of people by AI and HAARP, the nanos, this carrier wave, sub-frequencing on top. So it's like broadband for the communication of AI inside your body, for gathering all the information, back and forth communication, for giving information to the real world host. So the idea is to build and populate the real world simulations. The feed is coming from us to them, but then the plan is to reverse the feed.
Right.
So they reverse the feed, then they get the real world host working ahead of us, and then they reverse the feeds, and then I'm being controlled by the host inside the simulation. That's what they're doing. But it's not just.
And so, okay, so y'all heard that, guys, where they're reversing the feed, right? And as targeted individuals, we understand, being manipulated by neuro weapons, being manipulated by directed energy weapons, are they practicing? Is that an angle of our targeting to be able to reverse this feed and make the avatar or our brain, the mapping of our brain, right? EEG clone of our brain, Brian too talks about it a lot, to do things to that avatar or that EEG clone of the brain, and then it affects us, right? And I think they're already kind of there. I think they're already doing that on a certain level, maybe not to everybody in the world, but they're already there, and maybe they're practicing to make it better, more efficient, quicker, and stuff like that. So it could be a very huge angle of why they're targeting us individually.
It's for people. It's not just for animals. It's for everything.
Wow. So your jargon and ability to comprehend all this is so beyond mine. I'm going to ask you to back up just a little bit. So just to kind of like step by step. So what happened first was they were, with engineering, they're spraying these bits of aluminum and other sized particulates into the atmosphere that we bring into our lungs. And as you said, then just it's like a numbers game. Some of it that goes into our lungs winds up coming up through the mucus and being swallowed, where it goes into the stomach in an acid-rich environment, where apparently is what you said was where it transforms. Can you explain a little bit about how those, whatever it is in nanotechnology, grows into something else with the acid?
Okay. So there's a disconnect in people's understanding of, they think that they're spraying shots on you. They're not doing that. That would never work in the first place. What they do is they spray these components, and then we breathe them in. Animals breathe them in. They're spraying them on the plant life that takes them in.
That we eat.
That's right. And then what goes into our lungs, our body wants to expel. This is microscopic, very small stuff.
Sure.
So it comes back up in the phlegm, in the mucus, and then we swallow it. We swallow it, it goes down into the acid-rich environment, and that's where the crystallization begins. So these little component elemental parts that go down in there, then they begin to replicate. And these are crystals that are replicating, and they grow to a predetermined diameter, which is very small. They're going to be 10 nanometers, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 nanometers, very, 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 very small. Then on the corners of these crystal formations, once they grow to that specific size that they were commanded to grow to, then on each corner is where the filaments grow. And what you're going to be looking at resembles very much a tick. So it has arms and it has antennae. Whenever they first start growing, they look the same, but then they become more noticeable as appendages for mobility and antennae for communication.
So it's like these nanoparticulates, morgellons or nanofibers, and they're these little these little self-replicating antennae in our body. That's why it's so important to cleanse these things out. And I wanted to read Messenger of the Cross's text. The interface between the computer and is the EMF broadcast signals a carrier wave of bidirectional stream of energy or photons that can animate the body and brain by a fall stream of energy. And that is very true. And I really agree with that. And Brian too talks about that a lot. And we've also got to remember though, there's more tricks in their bag, right? So that's the main thing that they're doing to connect to us. But then there's, external hits, and then there's other ways of manipulating the brain and the nervous system through the vestibular system. So it's not just that bidirectional stream of photons, although that's a major part. It's a major part of deep brain stimulation, and I think even some of the nervous system manipulation too. And it's how they get signals back from the brain. And I'm gonna bring up however much of this stuff I can with Dr. Hoffer and see if he's got a definite, like, oh, they're using this, right? They're using the MIT thing of an electromagnetic field and then a bidirectional stream of ultrasound and infrasound, or it'd probably be photons, but I'm going to see if he has a clearer picture of exact, and he's got maybe proof. I'm kind of doubtful about that. I think that he's kind of running behind like us too, trying to figure it out. But maybe he might have some more hardcore evidence. Like I'm just hoping.
This is what's made out of the same silicone-based stuff, if you will, that causes Alzheimer's disease in people.
Right. So just real quick. So I never want to interrupt you, but I'm just trying to get this step by step. So just to kind of explain to people, when you talk about this crystallizing and turning into something, so it kind of reminds me of those, chemistry experiments when we're kids, where we put something in another chemical and then this crystal grows right before our eyes. So it's sort of like that, right?
That's right.
This nano has this predetermined size that it's going to grow to once it hits that acid, which is it's created to hit that acid and to do this, right?
That's right. So you get none of the development in the lungs. The development only happens in the digestive tract. That's right.
Mm-hmm. And then you're saying the appendages come out of the corners to give it motility to walk around, to move, and then a communication type of antenna, which is what interacts with the heart frequencies.
That's right.
Wow. Okay, and so there are all different kinds for different purposes of this project?
That's right. They can also work together. They can combine together to create other things.
Okay.
They're very extremely small. Put all the component parts together, they can build whatever they want inside of you. That causes this reaction in a small percentage of the population. People that get Magellan's disease, it's not supposed to happen.
And so that's what targeted individuals talk about. Like, you basically have an implant in your body that's like a clump of this nanotechnology. It's a clump of these nanofibers formed in a certain spot. Now, are they able to direct it? You know, I think so. I think so. With directed energy, they could maybe direct some of these nanofibers to a specific spot in the body. I don't know exactly how they do that, but you know, but that's what it sounds like. So, but the important bit there, guys, is that it forms in stomach acid. That's where it crystallizes. That's where Morgellons crystallizes in the stomach acid. So that's why it's super important to take boron, or they're gonna give you some solutions, or borax, you know, 3 times a day in water, and then apple cider vinegar, which I haven't started taking apple cider vinegar yet, but I definitely am. You know, I should have been taking it the whole time, but you know, I got to buy so many supplements and stuff like that. Oh, where was I here? I think I was around right there. Let's see.
Just like our cells divide and they reproduce. That's how our.
Okay, and so there are all different kinds for different purposes of this project?
That's right. They can also work together. They can combine together to create other things.
Okay.
They're very extremely small. Put all the component parts together, they can build whatever they want inside of you. That causes this reaction in a small percentage of the population. People that get Magellan's disease, it's not supposed to happen. It's uncontrolled replication. It's cancer of silicon base. So if you're a silicon-based life form instead of a carbon-based life form, then you would have replication as a means of reproduction. Just like our cells divide and they reproduce. That's how our bodies are maintained. Well, uncontrolled cellular division is what cancer is. Same thing with the silicon-based life form. It's just out of control, not being governed by the genetic code, if you will.
When Carol first said this about this Morgellons being a replication accident, I at first was doubtful. But if you think about it, powers that be would not want us to see proof of this program inside our bodies. And that's exactly what Morgellons does. It's silicon replication and ungoverned overdrive, like some nano-sized alien cancer, spitting its tangled silicon filament.
I'm just going to throw this word in and I'll keep the video going. Parasites, parasitic. We're dealing with very parasitic stuff that the top of the pyramid is creating to hook into us. So not only nanoparticulates, nanofibers, non-consensual implants, but then frequencies to hook into us to control us too. Parasitical. I guess that it could be symbiotic. I guess with positive programs, it might be symbiotic, but you know, just like this, they can turn it parasitic. If somebody was in a positive program, right? Say somebody was in a program where it's like, oh, well, you got nanoparticulates and we're shooting positive frequencies at you. So it's like a symbiotic relationship. It's a good relationship. Boom, like this, they can turn it to where it's hurting you, it's torturing you, and everything like that. I've never talked to anybody who's got a positive program. I'm just saying, you know, we've got to leave, we have to leave that open, the possibility open, that there probably are some positive programs where they're using these frequencies to actually make people's lives better. Maybe not, but it's a theory that I have.
Elements and crystals through people's skin. It's certainly taken this whole concept of our being inhabited from total fiction into an event with physical evidence left behind. Not that everyone claiming this issue is legit, but many are and have proof. These poor people suffering from this replication overgrowth are haunted with itchy skin where lesions form as the silicon life forms come through their epidermis.
Hey, Selgers,
Of
man, how you
course,
doing?
looking like they're on drugs with some of these lesions all over them, many are desperate to know what's happening. Doctors just label them as delusional parasitosis and send them home with antibiotics. Many take matters into their own hands by microscopes to study the filaments themselves. Here is one example.
So this is very good proof,
See,
y'all.
these guys were removed a minute ago. Let me move it into the picture. You can see they're still moving or not. Yeah, you can sort of see them moving there. See the little self moving around there? See if I can get a little bit closer. There we go. Oh yeah. Wow, this is awesome. I
That's
finally got one on
horrifying.
film moving. Once he gets, oh, look at, oh, there he really is moving now. Nice. Wow. I have felt these things like move up and down my skin, literally felt them move up and down my skin. And now you can actually see it moving.
So, but some people, it's a genetic thing, they have a propensity for it, but others, like your partner who is exposing this, it happened to him seemingly as an attack on him, no?
That's what it looks like. See, here's the thing. The way that they're going to kill people by giving them flu-like symptoms. That's going to cause fluid in their lungs, pneumonia.
And this has happened to many members of your family.
That's right.
Okay, so I don't understand this because he seems like he knows a lot about these nanoparticulates, about these nanofibers, Morgellons, and he knows a lot about HAARP. But how does he thinks that they're just going to give him like flu-like symptoms? You know, as targeted individuals, we do get flu-like symptoms sometimes. We get fibromyalgia pain, but it seems like he would know about the directed energy weapon attacks. It seems like he would know about the neuroweapons attacks, that, you know, the brain and the nervous system can be manipulated to give heart palpitations or a heart attack or severe pain in your body, inflammation in your nerves and stuff like that. So I'm not sure why he didn't include, you know, directed energy weapon torture, hitting somebody in the chest with a directed energy beam. But then again, you know, this is an angle of things. This is an angle of, you know, catalysts being put into people's body and the things that they can do with them. So he may not be privy to, you know, to direct energy weapon attacks, direct neuroweapons attacks and things like that. He may only be privy to frequencies from HAARP and what they can do with the nanoparticulates, right? But then there's this whole other, there's, you know, all these other things that are involved in the grid. Satellites, microwave towers, ground radar, over the horizon radar, wind towers. Did I say drones? Drones, other, you know, other airplanes and stuff like that. And then probably in 5G rolling in. And then there could be a couple of things that I'm not even thinking of, right? But this is important with the angle of over 200 HAARP facilities in the world and what they're doing with the nanoparticulates that everybody has inside of them and on their skin.
When you started disclosing this and digging into this research and other key members of your family, what I was thinking of, you know, this amazing man lost members of his family all in the same week once the work exposing this came out. And so obviously they have some kind of means to turn on some kind of virus inside of us that, like you were saying, it causes flu-like symptoms. It feels.
Yeah, Sterling Wayne says something very important. Stay strong and continue educating yourselves carefully, my friends. Just don't overwhelm in details. It's already stressful enough. And I agree with you, Sterling. Like I was saying earlier to people in chat and everybody watching this video, the reason that I'm trying to figure out as many details as I can and why I talk about it on my videos is because those things, those details have helped me to actually find defenses to reduce my suffering and other people's suffering. Now, if you know, if it was simpler to find defenses and it was like, oh, well, just this can block out everything, I probably wouldn't even go into the details. I'd be like, oh, this is just too overwhelming. We just need to bottom line it. But that's the reason that I do. And it gets murky sometimes. It gets very, very murky. There's some things that it's like I'll bring up, but I don't completely believe that they're happening. And then other things where I'm like 100%, that's my experience and my research has gone towards that. But that's good advice. Let's not get overwhelmed. If anybody's feeling overwhelmed with research and things like that, just bottom line it and simplify it for your life. Try and feel better. Take a break if you need to, which, you know, I've tried to do a couple of times when I'm making videos, but I need to do it more. I need to do more of that and get into my meditation and just connect with God and ask him what he wants me to know. But I'll tell you what, guys, I'll tell you what, it was either God, I hate saying it like this, but there was an impulse for me to show this video. And I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't, but I have to go ahead and show this video and get it out of my system before I move on. So I'm kind of getting the feeling that, that God was kind of pressing on my heart for this. So, I think the advice is really good. Just don't get overwhelmed. If you can research and learn the details and it's not a big deal, go ahead and do that, and you can help others with that. But if you're somebody that's like, man, I don't understand all this techno babble, and I just want some solutions, then people can help you with some solutions, and you can deal with strengthening people's faith, or strengthening people emotionally, or what to do about gang stalking, how to react to gang stalking. That there's many angles of this where you don't have to totally totally get entrenched in the technology, right? But we do. I mean, like the people who it doesn't bother and can think that way, we've got to put a bigger picture together to know exactly what's happening to us. I think figuring out the complete picture right now, it seems pretty impossible. But as we move forward and we get more concrete data, I think it can happen. Now, by that time, the cabal will have come up with something new, right? But there will be a point in time where people understand this stuff,
Along with fluid. But what I wanted to know is that, you're telling me how we can disable this, in our bodies by using some things we'll talk about here later on in the interview. But were you guys already doing that to prevent this kind of thing from happening, or you learned that as a result of this?
Our group knew about the inhibitor, and we were trying to get the information out like we are, just you with educating people. But instead of working, my job was to put into the hands of the Carnicom Institute and surround him with about a dozen physicists, because we already knew what the answer was. He'd already described everything to me, what he needed, but we needed to go through the proper channels and to produce the research and to work with the Institute, and then they would publish everything, and then that would start helping people. That was the idea. But AI put up the red flag, and then my people began going down in two groups in March and April of 2012. And my mother went down with the first group.
Horrible.
Down, and she never had any heart issues. But the thing that I was getting to is that this thing is characterized as the professionals, the people actually working on my people, as a mystery virus. They don't know what it is, basically. And then it's going to work in the lungs first, and then it's going to cause the body to begin going into convulsions, and then heart palpitations, and then the heart is just going to give out. But what they do is they use the nanos. And that, like I said, they can work together, and they build nodes inside the main arteries of the heart. They build them, and then they unbuild them. They build them to kill the person, and then they unbuild them. So a member of my family had to go. She didn't have any plaque or anything in her system. She had to go to the hospital and get a stent put in her heart because these nodes started growing. They had identified two small nodes growing in her heart. This is going through the same time period that I'm talking to you about, whenever my mother and two of my cousins were all from the same symptoms.
Hey, you can't even say killed. You can't say the word killed on a video, or it's going to be censored. God, it's like every word. TG says, I make myself feel love energy and it stops, then comes back, but keep putting mind in that love energy. And that's so important. I know that a lot of practical people, they maybe get upset when people talk about raising your vibrations, feeling love, feeling those positive intentions, positive thoughts in your mind. It is essential, because the more, it's a cycle, right? It's a cycle. And the more hurt and traumatized you are and angry and you have negative feelings, it's going to bring you down. It's going to go down that cycle. So we've got to fight back. We've got to break the cycle with positivity, positive vibrations and things like that. But it's essential to get there. To get there, we shouldn't be taking the full brunt of these attacks. We have to find those practical defenses to get you up to a certain energy level, right? To get you to a level where you feel like I have some energy in my thinking's a little bit clear. Then start raising your positive vibrations. So important. Faith and love and all those things, joy, happiness, all those positive things that humans have. We have to infect back. We have to infect ourselves back with God's help, and then infect other people with happiness, with goodness, with fighting for the good of humanity, and not using people and lying and stuff like that. We have to infect back with this system that's trying to infect us. So it's super, super important. Soldiers Walker says RH negatives are not human. That's why science is obsessed with transhumanism. Yeah, it's probably true. I think there is some different DNA in the human population, and a small percent has some weird stuff that they don't know where it came from. Moment of Truth says, yeah, don't say there's no God, because this is happening until what's happening has reached its conclusion. Well, Moment of Truth, and I've said this a million times, this isn't God's fault. There's definitely death and destruction in the universe that God created, but the way that this is so evil and there's so much suffering that doesn't need to happen, it's men's fault. And this universe works on free will. Whatever God, God created the universe. So I don't exactly know. I don't know barely anything that God knows, right? But it does work on free will. It has to work that way somehow. And evil people who want to play God, they use their free will wrong, and then they create a system like this that's just horrifying, and it's hell on earth. But I don't blame God. God's given us Eden. He's given us this world and good people and good relationships that you can have, and you can help people and you can choose to be good. God has given us that. It's man's choice that brings us to this dark place. Especially the men who are at the top of the pyramid, who have control of like all the resources on the earth, basically. Other people have money and stuff, but they don't have the type of money and resources those guys do. And they say, and the people at the top of the pyramid are like, well, we're gods. We're gods, so we're going to act like gods, and we're going to control people and do all this stuff. And then you have just satanic evil overflow in the earth. TG says, confuse them, react in love. Don't give the reaction they want. I like that. Cortez Torres says, I've been through many states. They follow to every state, and even in jail. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's keep going. Just a little bit more, guys. I do want to just kind of play the whole thing.
Deal that was going on. And the members of my group, there were 13 of them that we know about, and the youngest one was 25 years old, and she has a stent in her heart too.
Oh my gosh, young people who have there's no business or good reason for this to happen other than the direct attack for what you were exposing. Wow.
Each person was found unconscious. Other people had taken to the hospital unconscious, and then they went through the fluid in the lungs phase, and then the heart phase after that, until they wound up having to have stents in their heart. My mom was on the way to the hospital to get her stent whenever she passed.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. So why would they, now this was another question I thought of, like, why would they attack your family and leave you alone? Same with him. They members of his family also. Why would they not go after you doing the research, do you think?
Actually, I think that they did. I was down for the count 3 times in 2012 myself, but I was taking as much as I could of the inhibitor.
Oh.
So maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe they keep me around to desensitize the people about it. But I responded I had a 360 member research team put together that we came together on Pal Talk. And then, so we had people coming in and going out all the time with 65 administrators, very big, powerful group, physicists, astronomers. And that was just all disbanded. So we were doing up to 7 radio shows per week, myself, we had our geologist, the attorney doing the geopolitical analysis and things, and all that was thrown away. Now you see I hardly do any interviews. The idea is to stay behind the pace,
yes,
to go nice and slow,
yes,
and become their useful desensitizing agent. So they're going to use my Planet X, which they characterize. I'm not a Planet X guy at all. They label me as the Planet X guy, push me in there, and then use my testimony to desensitize people. As long as I don't race too far ahead, then that's what I'm saying. AI is going to use us, and he doesn't want to kill useful assets. It's in his advantage. He's going to win the game, playing it this way, but it allows us the opportunity to get the information out to people that are awake.
Right. I felt the same thing. Why I don't make so many videos. I'm at this slower pace, and it's kind of, I feel like it's spirit that's leading me to do that, but interesting. So I wanted to ask also, when you said that you took the thing that perhaps kept it from affecting you like it did your family, are you talking about or there's something else?
That's the only known replication inhibitor that knew of. That's the only one that I know of so far. It's the similarity to those filaments and the cell walls of fungi. Very, very similar. That's the same things. Apple cider vinegar has a 9.3 pH. Raising your pH makes it more difficult for the fungi and the minnows.
Wow. So what we're talking
higher
about,
the pH. Yeah, go ahead.
What we're talking about here, folks, is boron, or it's a mineral, boron, and a very common, very easily accessible, cheap form of that is actually something that you might have in your laundry room right now called 20-mule team borax. So
okay, so they gave 2 solutions there, guys. Well, really 3, but two substances, boron and borax. Now and they're about to say how to use the borax. But with boron, I take about 12 milligrams a day. And then I think I saw somebody in the chat. They were asking, do you take borax baths, mix it with Epsom salt? What I do, I take the Epsom salt bath, just Epsom salt. Like I get this Dr. Teal's kind of mint green tea Epsom salt. I put like just a little anthill of it, in the bathtub, and then fill up the bathtub, take the Epsom salt bath, stay in there for at least an hour, maybe 2 hours if you can. An hour is usually as long as I can stay in. But then, get out, like wait a couple of hours, right? Maybe hang out like 4 to 5 hours or 3 hours or something like that. Then rinse it off with the borax bath. Now, with my borax baths, I just kind of sprinkle a little ant pile, right, in the bathtub, and then I put the palm olive with L-lactate soap on top of that, and then mix it all together in the bath. And then I rinse off the Epsom salt. So you're getting the Epsom salt, it gets on your skin, it's cleaning it, you soak in it, but then you kind of wait around for a couple hours or whatever. You don't want to leave it on too long. It's conductive. The Epsom salt's conductive. It makes your skin conductive. So probably the microwave hits are going to be a little bit more intense if you leave it on too long, like if you sleep without cleaning it off. I don't know if some other people have taken Epsom salt baths and just left it on and there's no change. Let me know. But I rinse it off. I try and rinse it off the same day. But those are separate. Epsom salt bath first, kind of wait a while, maybe a couple of hours or whatever, then rinse it off with a borax bath. I put palm olive with L-lactate, and acid on it because that's going to clean the skin more. Some people said don't use the palm olive with L-lactate acid, but definitely do the borax, Epsom salt, and then the borax. I think the palm olive with L-lactate has seemed fine. It hasn't hurt me or anything like that. So that's kind of the way that I do it, guys. Now they're gonna, I think they're gonna go through exactly how to take the borax. If you're taking you don't have boron, you can get boron at your health food store. You can get it at a health food store. You can order it off of Amazon. Get boron. But if you can't and you can just get borax, they're gonna explain how to do that.
You take a pinch of that in water every day. Is that all you do?
In my morning drinking, I got my drinking water glass right here. And in the morning, then I put 1 pinch in. This is a pint. So I put 1 pinch in, and I drink maybe 5 or 6 glasses per day. So in the morning, and then once again around noon, and then in the evening, I just take 1 pinch. Just the smallest little pinch that you can put in, that's all it takes to have that in your system. And I didn't mention to you the maximum doses allowed by the FDA. That's going to be a 1/4 teaspoon for if you're a 200-pound man, and 1/8 of a teaspoon if you're a 100-pounder. But if you're just using a pinch, you're never going to get near that.
Well, it seems like they're not going to be as hard against a group like, maybe I'm wishful thinking here, and I hope I'm right. You and I talking about this in a conversational way, not what you were doing, which was a big time, very well established scientists, astronomers, people who could write the papers and inform the community at large in a really legitimate way. So perhaps this kind of work where we're just talking about it and sharing it with people, they're just going to let that go under the radar. Whereas with you, that's why they had to stop it, because you had a very valid way that you were coming at this.
Right.
And so Stacy said, Shelley Wolf, it's a palm olive lactate acid, so the orange one. So you can get it at most stores. So yeah, so it's the orange one, just the orange palm olive soap, and that's the one with the L-lactate acid. So that's pretty important. Messenger of the Cross says you take born orally dropper trace mineral good brand. Take it orally and it will help kill candida in the blood. Okay, you take born orally. Okay, so I'm going to look that up, Messenger of the Cross. Dropper, trace, mineral, good brand. Okay. And Autumn says spray Lysol around your house. It's fantastic. Main ingredients are hydrogen peroxide and lactic acid. Okay. Okay. Yeah, there's some really good solutions for keeping our surroundings clean, our clothes clean. I would use borax to wash your clothes with. And you can even use borax to clean, and then you can, get things like Lysol, things that are antibacterial. You want to kill any bacteria in your environment so we can keep it down. We can keep the toxins that are getting in our body. We can keep those at a balanced level. Hopefully hopefully erase them all. But I think it's hard to just completely get rid of this stuff. I think even taking boron, and I'm going to start doing the apple cider vinegar, and I've been doing my cleansing baths. I've been keeping up with them for about a week. My V2K is lower down a little bit. It was really low. With this, I can't even hear it. Like I can't even hear them right now. So some really good solutions, guys. Some really hopeful stuff. Even though this is some big information, right? It's something huge going on in our world. Most targeted individuals kind of knew. They kind of knew it was this big. That a lot of people are being targeted without knowing it. A lot of people are being hooked into the grid. My thing is, a lot of people are waking up and becoming aware. There just seems to be a lot of the population that will never even try and understand this. They'll never even try and understand this. They've got a social pass, right? Because in society, to not talk about this is okay. It's more than okay. They don't want you talking about it. So certain people are just going to be like, no, that doesn't exist, because it seems socially acceptable. See, it seems actually, well, I mean, that's obvious, right? It's socially unacceptable for us to tell the truth about all this dangerous stuff that's happening to human beings and that's happening directly to us. it's very socially unacceptable, right? So ignoring the dangers in society, right? Ignoring these huge plans, you know, to control the population, to be able to target anyone in the population, they're already doing that. It's like socially unacceptable. Go figure. The survival of the human race in a form that we'll recognize is socially unacceptable. You know, socially acceptable is like, oh yeah, hook something into your brain and you want to get a chip, and transhumanism, and and worshiping Satan and all this stuff, and then you're cool. Inversion. I mean, complete inversion. We lived in an inverted society.
They're not afraid of me at all. They are afraid of they've got their letters behind their name, they're accredited, they have the opportunity to have a very loud voice very quickly on something like that. So the idea is to keep everything low key and then use my lack of education.
Exactly.
It's actually helping me
Same.
do this, right? So,
my degree's in theater right now.
and if we focus on the health benefits, there's 24 health benefits. You're going to decalcify the pineal gland.
Right.
You're going to be able to think more clearly. You're going to get the 75% of the people in the United States already have the death cycle initiated. So the fun.
And I'll tell you what, guys, I've been taking boron every day for like a week and a half, almost going on 2 weeks. I feel a lot less hooked in to what my attackers are doing. I am thinking clear. I have more energy. So these things, these little things that we do, I think of them as like arrows in your quiver. You know, the passive shielding, Dave Case's CD, the noise canceling hearing aids, transcranial stimulation, headgear from Less EMF. Then you got potassium iodide, you got boron, you got many other supplements and things like that. But I think of all these things as arrows in our quiver, you know, that we got to keep shooting. We got to have our quiver full of those things. And you might not think it like, oh, taking boron's going to help me at all, because it feels so bad, right? The way that this feels, it's really weird when you start using some simple solutions, how much it can affect this huge, wow, this feels like it's killing me. How could anything like taking boron help it, right? So you guys know what I mean? Like, I mean, if you start using these arrows in your quiver, you'll start gaining inches, right? You'll gain an inch here, an inch there, an inch here. Those inches turn into miles. So it's important to start the journey of getting those inches. You get those inches, and then it opens up, and you're getting miles. You're getting miles of cutting this crap off, of getting the parasites unhooked as much as you can. And then you can focus on your life and the happy things that you can do in your life and helping people, right? You don't have to focus on your attackers and the gang stalking all the time. It'll be easier when you feel unhooked to gain miles and miles of relief. To still fight this, to still fight it, and maybe sometimes it'll be bad, but it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference when you start filling your quiver with all those different kinds of arrows, supplements, cleansing, passive shielding, frequency shielding, magnets, and things like that. You know, you'll get some inches at first, and you'll be like, it's not working as good as I want. Then you'll start adding up those inches, and then it's just going to open up. And you're gonna be like, oh, I feel better now. I can figure out way better stuff. And the grounding too. I also want to mention grounding because that's essential. Grounding is just a priority. You know, Dave Case CD, grounding, the noise canceling hearing aids, boron, many other things. We'll do a video where we just go through defenses. I think I want to do a panel.
Overgrowth is already happening in just about all of the people that are listening.
This is Candida, by the way. Candida he's talking about. So does this help with the Candida as well?
Absolutely. It's natural. The apple cider vinegar, all you have to do is take 1 glass, just like this one, 1 pint, and you're going to add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar to it in the morning. And you're going to use the same glass. You're going to drink 1/3 of that with breakfast, 1/3 with lunch, and 1/3 with dinner, and that's it. That 9.3 pH is going to raise your pH of your blood. It's going to give you about 18 health benefits just doing that. And about 6 more added to that by taking these just those 3 pinches. So you're going to raise your blood pH. You're begin reducing the amount of fluorine buildup that's in your body that's affecting your ability to think. Between the candida, which creates cloudy thinking, the fungi inside your body rewires the neural network. Just like the bacteria, it generates your appetites and things. You eat the same thing over and over, your bacteria in the stomach's not going to like it.
Right.
That's why the governor of your behavior, good behavior, is the bacteria in your system. The fungi, whenever it's activated, rewires the neural network towards bad behavior. So the fungi wants to kill you. The bacteria wants to build you up. And that's the good guy and the bad guy in your left shoulder and your right shoulder, making it difficult to get the good food, the good exercise, because the bacteria wants you to live and the fungi wants you to die. You cannot eliminate the fungi from your body, but it all goes dormant. The fungi is supposed to be there for when your body does die. It's just activated beforehand by the foods that we eat. It's part of to displace you from your job and then
Council
have you
Foreign
eat bad
Relations.
foods to feed the overgrowth.
Quickly though, going back to the HAARP again, and something that made me think of like big picture people coming out and exposing this. Nick Bajic, for example, is someone who's been talking about HAARP for a long time, but no one has ever come out and attacked him. Is it because he's not talking about the ability to interact with the biology of humans?
Well, the thing to realize is that people like George Soros, for example, people like Benjamin Fulford, these are the mouthpieces of these elite groups. And they are sent out to manipulate and control the narrative, sometimes to get the narrative rolling. Whenever you see insider, right, the whistleblower, 9 times out of 10, that person is someone that is sent out there with the narrative.
Right, to guide it in a way where it's not so threatening to the ultimate plan. So is that what you get with someone like, I don't know the second guy, but I know Nick Bajic's work. He's been talking about this forever, like 2000 or something, 99.
So he's part of the machine. Those are people that just control the narrative. If they were a real threat like we were, they are not going to be walking around. You're not going to find too many interviews with.
Yeah, Stacy says, yes, need to keep the body more alkaline. So the pH level, you want your pH level up. The more acidic your body is, the more that these weapons are going to be able to hurt you, the more pain you're going to be in, the more inflammation and stuff like that. So, and he's saying that the apple cider vinegar has a very specific pH level that balances out with these nanofibers, with the morgellons in our body. The weird thing for me is I've never experienced like things coming out of my skin. Like I'll take cleansing baths and then I get like stuff rubbing off of it. But I think that I do have an autoimmune disorder. I have Crohn's disease. So I kind of think that maybe my body is reacting to nanofibers in a specific way. But people are different, right? So some people, get these nanofibers in their system, it replicates, and their body starts trying to expel it. It's working in a different way. And then with me and with some other people, it may not show, it may not come out of our skin, but it's still in our system, and our body's just reacting to it differently. I'm not quite sure, but that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. Nathan Roffers, thank you so much. He said, I've always got your back, Kyle, and other TIs too. It's important to discuss these things. Yeah, that's number one. Number one, Robert Duncan said it. He said, keep talking about this stuff. And we're just going to keep talking about it. And we're just going to keep talking about it. And we're just going to keep talking about it until it's common knowledge. Until it's common knowledge and everybody's speaking about it in their homes, because this is the future of the human race. Like these people, the Council on Foreign Relations and the people above them in the military industrial complex of the world, with DARPA figuring out all these weird things and then mass manufacturing them through the contractors, and then, arms of the DOD putting out these contracts to do experiments and like using the population of the world as a petri dish to do their experiments. It's evil. It's evil, and it has to be common knowledge that it's going on. So the regular family, the general public, the people that are good and just want to live their lives, so they can know about it to decide if they want to fight, And I think the only decision is to fight. The only decision for me, and a lot of you guys in chat and a lot of you guys watching this video, is to fight it in our war, because small percentage of the population knowing the big picture and the dangers that are coming straight for us, I think our war right now, other than defending and feeling more comfortable, is building our army, getting people in the public who don't know about this stuff interested in it, who have good ideas, can invent things, can have a lot of creative thoughts. We need to bring them into the army of like, hey, let's try and save the human race from being combined with AI and completely losing organic evolution of the brain. Let's stop random killings and torture of men, women, and children all over the world. You know, we need to build our good army, people who are ignorant of this stuff, even some gang stalkers who think that they're helping their communities. We need to get them on our side. You know, some gang stalkers are, and I'm not talking about the people microwaving us. I'm talking about the people who do street theater or do vehicle harassment and stuff. Some of them think they're doing the right thing. They think they're fighting terrorism. We need to let them know what they're involved in, so then they can, you know, they'll have a bigger reason to fight against it because they were actually part of that evil, right? But that's what I see our war as. I see our war right now as building our army, because the people who know a lot of these hard truths in society, it's a pretty small percentage, you know. Will you guys put in chat what percentage of the world population do y'all think knows about targeting with directed energy weapons and experimentation on the brain, torture on the brain, torture on the body with directed energy weapons? What kind of percentage of the world population do y'all think?
With me talking about this,
Right.
since it happened, the information is in emails that are in the Dropbox folder. The information is there for a researcher to find.
Okay, great. So just because I'm so into health aspect, and I'm not one to just sit around and go, oh, this is so terrible, look what they're doing to us. I really want to focus on what we can do about it. I've been looking into ways to detox aluminum from the human body. I've been looking at ways to try to disengage the nano that I'm looking into right now. I don't know. I mean, it seems like as though boron is really this phenomenally amazing.
So we got 0.5%, 1%, 2%, less than 5% probably, 12%, 20. Nobody says 20%. And how you doing, brother? I would go with about 10%. You know, I'd go with about 10 to 20%. I don't know, probably on the low range. I'm probably with Sterling Wayne at about 12 to 15% of people that know about this targeting in the world. But the deal is, and Seldred says 8%. Yeah, those are some pretty good numbers, guys. I hope you guys that are putting 0.5%, I hope that's not true. I could kind of see how it could be true, but I hope not. I hope more people know about this. But the deal is, and I think Richard Lighthouse has talked about this, you know, when something gets to, what's the threshold? The threshold is when something gets to like 5% knowledge in society, then it exponentially explodes and everybody starts knowing about it. So we're definitely there. Like, we're definitely to that percentage where it should just exponentially increase. You know, the 100th monkey syndrome should happen and people should know about it. But then we're dealing with these built-in mechanisms of the system, social engineering and social conditioning, to make people scared of these topics, right? So we're dealing with these extra variables where, you know, 5% of the population knows about something, it should just exponentially explode. But there are these artificial variables to keep that down, you know, to keep that from expanding. So we're going to have to hopefully break those mechanisms of control. I don't know how. But. So Lost Year says that's 1 in 10 people. Oh, yeah, 10% is 1 in 10 people. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe it's like 5% or something like that. Jeff O says Brian 2 is getting worked pretty good. Yeah, he's getting hit really hard. He's trying to turn himself into the FBI, but he's not having any luck. Yeah, I gotta talk to my boy Brian too. Yeah, he's getting attacked so badly. I just want him to listen to Dave Case's CD so he could at least get rid of the heart palpitations. So let's go ahead and wrap this up, guys.
Key, but have you heard anything about how, because the thing about this nano, if you think about it, although it's kind of incredible like what they've been able to accomplish, but at the same time, this must be pretty sophisticated equipment they've got going on. And so I've heard of people using powerful magnets to sort of disengage their capacities too. Have you heard anything about that?
All kinds of information is sent to me, and it is shared in the weekly newsletters.
Okay.
But like you, it's just impossible to track down every lead on everything.
Sure.
Right? So we have our own narrative.
Right.
Mine is earth changes and what this black star thing is doing to us, and what's happening under our feet, how it's affecting the magma plume formation, the earthquakes, and the destruction that's coming.
Right. Like you, I'm just kind of in there trying to figure out which things work and which don't, and so I'm always asking people if they have any experience. But I'm also looking at this type of foot bath that I've seen the results of. It actually pulls these little flecks of sparkly material out through the skin, also with electromagnetic fields. And so there are other things happening, and it's so exciting to be able to do something about it. I want to help people feel empowered, which ultimately the real answer here is to be saved at this time. That's really the only answer. But whatever we can do to remain in the right mind.
So y'all heard what Dana Ashlie said. She said the only real answer is to be saved, to get close to God in the name of Jesus Christ. And I agree with that too. But once you do that, once you start trusting in God in your situation, it doesn't look so big. It doesn't feel so big. God will help your mind to perceive things the right way so you can still fight evil, but have happiness in your life. That's what I've experienced. And that's what, at the least, that's what I want for you guys, to get some control over this, to be connected as you can be to God. And then you're going to start seeing miracles in your life, even in this dark hell. We have to be soldiers of God in this hell, no matter what's happening in our world, right? And I think even in that, we can find things we want. We can find happiness, a family, things like that maybe you didn't think that you could find. But when you get really close with God, He is the answer. Now, what His will is and how this is all going to turn out for the population of the world, I don't know. The people at the top have so much power and control. And it's like if we keep fighting, this generation fights it as much as we can, the next generation, and then the next generation, they might get used to it. We got to fight that. Right? But, when you get close to God, you'll see miracles happen in your life, and we just do the best we can. We just pray to God, tell Him to speak to our heart about what to do, and then we do it. And let the chips fall where they may sometimes. Because sometimes, it's the whole world, this whole system, the beast system, which I completely agree, to just fix it, right? To just fix it and fix everything is a little bit out of our hands. But it's not out of God's hands. That's the thing that I think. I'm one small person. I can do I can make videos, I can help people, I can defend myself, I can find happiness in my life, I can do these things, but saving the world's kind of, God can do it, He can do it through us if that's His will. But we've got to acquiesce to God's will. What do you want for us? What do you want us to do? And I think what He tells me is just be a good person, reduce suffering. I'm going to put happiness in your life, but I don't know if everything's just going to get better in the world and it's going to go back to how America was at the beginning, or a prosperous land where people are civilized. I don't know, only God knows, and that's why we got to get close to Him.
And able to walk around upright and share our testimony. The better we feel and the better our hot bodies are doing, the more likely we are to do that. So that's where my ultimate goal is here. So I just want to thank you so much for sharing this with us today, and I'll point people later on to how they can find those newsletters you talked about.
Okay, great.
Well, there you have it. Pretty wild stuff. I hope that you learned something here today and that it entertained you greatly. Remember, guys, to test all things with the Spirit that is holy, the great comforter. Thank you to all of you who write me, who take the time to comment, like videos, to those who pray for me, and those who have been moved to support the channel. I couldn't do this without you, so thank you. There are links to some of the substances we spoke about today in the description box. Amazon denied me as an influencer, so that prevents me from having my own little, store with things I can point people to, but they are allowing me to have links to products that I recommend on their site, and so that would actually help me with a very small percentage kickback. And honestly, I'd prefer to do that, link you to products that I actually stand behind one at a time, rather than having any kind of ads playing on my videos that are advertising goodness only knows what films and products. This way, I can really believe in what I'm representing. So I hope this finds you well, and that God guides you in all things. God bless you. I love you. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
All right, guys. So that's just what I wanted to show tonight. Like I said earlier, I had to get it out of my system because I kept saying I want to go through that video, but I'm just showing her video, and I was like, oh, I got it. I got to get it out of my system before I go to other topics and stuff. But you see in her description on this video, she has a place where you can get the borax and the raw apple cider vinegar. You can just go to any store and get borax, and then boron, you can order it from Amazon or go to your health food store. I go to a local health food store I have, and it's been helping a whole lot. So I hope this information helped you guys. I just had to show it. She's doing important work there, and she really cares about people. She wants to reduce people's suffering, and she tackles issues that aren't socially acceptable even among some truthers. And I really respect her for that. S. Robo says, thanks, Kyle, for all your live streams. God bless everyone. Love you and all TI fam. Thanks, Stacy. Thanks, Stacy. I love you guys too. Native Neuropter says, is Next doing a live stream tonight? I'm not sure. I'm going to check that out. Let me go ahead and end this in case he's maybe started one up after I started this live stream. But let's head over there if he is, guys. Messenger of the Cross says, or something of that sort. Listen to his last couple of vids. Just my opinion, we are seeing people being openly tortured right in plain sight, and it's a psychological reaction to torture to confess. Okay, whose videos were you talking about, Messenger of the Cross? I'm not sure whose videos. Okay, so Messenger of the Cross says, we are watching Brian too make public confessions to crimes he most likely didn't do to make all the pain stuff. Yeah, he's just, I think what he's trying to do is see if he can get more information on this extrajudicial torture. I think it's a strategy pretty much. And I hope that, we got to try every angle. We got to think outside the box. So he's thinking outside the box to see if he can get more information. And that's what we've all got to do. It may seem like, oh man, that may not work or whatever. But it's worth a try, right? All right, guys, I love y'all. Hey, Next, man, how you doing? Are you doing a live stream tonight, brother? I just wanted to show this video real quick. So I was kind of ending mine up. If you want to start yours, I'll come over there, man. Yeah, Next had a great panel last night. I didn't know about it, but I went into the chat for I think an hour or something, and it was a great panel. I think it was We the People volume. Is it volume 9 you did last night, Next? But so I'm not sure if he's doing a live stream, but if he is, check it out tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and close it out, guys. I'm going to close it out, but I hope some of that information helped us. Don't get overwhelmed by it, especially the simulation, like the worldwide simulation. The bottom line of this is that it's just important to cleanse inside and our skin, because these nanofibers are very real. Even if you're not presenting signs of Morgellons and you're targeted, you do have these nanofibers in your system, and we can cleanse it out and de-intensify the connection that our attackers have, you know. Oh, you don't have to next. If you weren't going to do a live stream tonight, I'm not trying to push you into it, man. I was trying to do mine early because I thought maybe you would do a live stream later. So I was trying to get mine done kind of early. Ooh, but it's like 1 o'clock where I am. Hey, thanks, Seldridge. I've seen a lot of your videos too, man. You do a great job. You do a great job just kind of telling it like it is. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end the live stream. Thanks for coming. I love you guys. I'm definitely probably the next live stream will just be a panel. I'll bring a little bit of information, some article or something that I want to show. I kind of want to talk about Kratom, and then we can just, you know, have a panel for the rest of the night. So I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. Guess you just stop the live.